You're listening to the Late Night Playset Podcast. This episode of Late Night Podcast, Late Night Playset Podcast, is brought to you by Los Angeles Living. Doing it live, losangeloliving.com.
How's it going, Jay Ryan? How's it going, Nicole? Here I am. I promised you that I'd bring you in through my new listing at 4719 San Sebastian in Woodland Hills, in the Heights section of Woodland Hills. Come check it out. With a family room area, and then upstairs is all of either the entertaining and the hanging out. You have a formal living room, a sitting room, awesome kitchen, office space or a fifth bedroom, a reading room, and then everything opens up to this. Like, check out this spectacular view. And come check out this patio too. Look at this view. I mean, how sick is this view? It's spectacular, gorgeous. You can hang out here all day. Now, whether you're staying home working, whether you're staying home just to hang out, entertaining, this is just a fabulous spot. There's a phenomenal Montalpi outdoor kitchen, sink, refrigerator, full 4-burner, and then you have, the spectacular pool hangout area. Check out our virtual open house when we post it, and if you guys want, you could come into our Zoom room and we could go through the open house together and discuss all of the other amazing features of this home. Thanks so much. Take care.
I'd move there. What do you think of that place?
It's so pretty.
Doesn't suck. Welcome back to the Late Night Playset Podcast. All right. Well, welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to my friend at home. Forgive me while I put some stuff away. I have to keep my phone out because our guest, we'll do all. I'll tell you everything in a second. Welcome back. My name is Jay Ryan. Mrs. Ryan is on assignment, but she is auditing the class today. She is right over there. Hello, everybody. They can hear you.
Hello.
She's doing her old publicist duties over there, essentially sort of taking in the show, what on earth this thing is and what we're doing over here. And she's sort of looking at it from a different perspective tonight, which is pretty cool for me. Because anytime I've ever seen you in that position, I would have been over there with you or in the car or asked to wait somewhere else. I've never had you be that person for me, and I've never been able to be in a pocket of people at such an echelon before. You could throw me in a barrel with Chris Rock now and a lot of other names that we don't mention just for whatever reason. But it is so lovely to see you in the studio and have you here and your energy and everything. And should we talk? I don't want to make this about you very much, especially because you don't have a mic to answer. But I do want to remind everybody else to please check out Mrs. Ryan's blog, which has been recently renamed to New Life of Old Nicole. And that is a triumph for many reasons, Mrs. Ryan. Mrs. Ryan, who doesn't have to be Mrs. Ryan anymore, Mrs. Nicole Ryan. It's so funny. All right, I have to tell you that welcome back. Today is Wednesday, July 8th, 2020, and our guest is not here tonight, and that's why we're doing this. But his name is Michael O'Neill, and you probably know him from the Solopreneur Hour, which is a solo hour for short, or maybe Rennch, Rennch, both podcasts, both YouTube channels. Motivational guy, inspirational guy. And he's a podcaster. He loves podcasting. He does podcasting professionally, and he self-proclaimed loves it. Loves all of this stuff. I thought, until late last night, I thought he was going to be a satellite guest, now that we have that all hooked up. And he was very willing and excited to come here in person. So he's driving up from, I believe, the San Diego area. And got caught in a little bit of traffic. So we are live with you. It is now 5:07 here in Pacific Daylight Time, and he should be here shortly. But until then, we have some stuff to do. I've got some East Coast feeds that have been backed up because we haven't been playing them on the Tuesdays with Tori. Once I have my buddy, we just get to talking, and like there was one time where we sort of spaced it out and chunked them in, and the show was entertaining and it was kind of nice, but it really broke up. We couldn't, so whatever. They've been backlogged. We have a whole bunch. Mrs. Ryan from afar over there, can't help but include you since you're here. I think that we should check in with the East Coast feed. It has been forever, but the Kazman and Brooke have been active. Let's see where they are. Keep in mind, it's been since March since we've seen them regularly. I think we've done a couple here and there, but it's really been a while. So I think I don't want to give it away. It may be snowing. Roll it, Al.
Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. Ryan. Steve Kaz. Brooke is sleeping. Shh. I'm just going to work. So listen, weird thing. It's April 16th, so it's mid-April. And look outside. Look at this. That's snow. It's actual snow. What the fuck? Okay, it's an apocalypse we live in. That's all. I wanted to share that with you guys, that we have actual snow on the rooftops, on the cars. I don't know if it's going to accumulate, whatever. I just think it's hysterical. I thought you guys in LA would appreciate a little snow in the fucking middle of April when I'm taking my snow tires off today. Hey.
I do appreciate it. We do appreciate it. I appreciate it very much, though. All right, well, keep it going. Roll it, Hal. Hit it again.
Mr. and Mrs. Ryan, I want to introduce you to Jeff. This is Brooke's dad. So we're sitting here, and you can see behind us, there's snow. It's fucking May. Hold on a second here.
Oh, it's May now.
You guys see this shit right here? You can hear it. You can hear it. It's fucking snow. It's fucking May. Snow squall. Where are we going? Where are we going? Anyway, this is Deb, Brooke's mom.
Hi.
So
Happy Mother's Day, everyone.
There you go. East Coast feed coming to you live. We had a little Italian dinner because Daddy was cooking, right? There's Brooke. I know it's snowing. We're trying to show Jay that it's snowing. California doesn't have snow in May. This is the first. Brooke, you enjoying that?
Yeah.
All right. So it's Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
Jeff's here. He and I are enjoying wine because no one else drinks wine with me anymore. So this is what we do. We had a couple of good bottles. Life is good. And then we have snow. Just wanted to share with California and the rest of the internet. This much. There's a lot of that. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Nice to meet
Say
you.
bye, Brooke.
Bye.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, I got a couple more. I mean, what else are we gonna do? Well, I may as well. First of all, I love you, Kaz and Brooke. I love that you're still sending these even when we weren't doing them. I mean, it's just so great. I remember, I think we played a couple of the BMW ones on the show because they're more car related. Right. And then these are more the family out and about. So
I miss them so much. I'm so glad to see it.
I believe it has warmed up quite a bit. Here we go. Roll it out.
Oh, look, Mr. and Mrs. Ryan. It's Brooke and the Kazman. I wanted you to see her fixing the hair because it's cute. I don't know, man. So we're on date night because the quarantine's almost kind of over.
You're literally, I'm just a little head.
Okay, here we go. Here, she's a bigger head now. Bigger head now. Anyway, we're on date night. Here's Brooke. She's not a little head anymore. We're on date night. We went to Zaragoza on Bank Street in New Milford, like usual. Sorry, everybody. Oh, look, there's my car. There's the demon because we say it all the time. And East Coast Feed. We talk about going there all the time when we eat outside. Anyway.
I'm talking a lot because I had a drink.
Ooh, she's talking a lot. She had a drink. There we go. But Mr. Ryan, we are on a bridge. You can see the little structure behind us. I'll turn around so you can get a full view.
Check back to next episode to see if I push him off or not. I'm funny.
Boy.
She's funny. Brooke had a drink.
No.
We're on Lover's Leap Bridge, and we're not going to jump because we're not fucking crazy and we don't need to die today. But yeah, no, that's what it's called, Lover's Leap.
I know. But
We're
yeah,
lovers, you'd leap.
you're
Anyway,
so extra.
I'm extra. She's learning this now. Anyway, check it out. We're going to go turn around. Come on, babe, get in the shot here.
No.
And boom, look at this cool bridge, you know? It's like all Connecticut-y and shit, right? Brooke's wearing a really good dress, as you can see. Let me just take a look in there.
Oh, good grief.
I know, she looks good. I'm just going to get a little closer. So just want to let you guys know we love you from Connecticut in the middle of nowhere on a Friday night. Say goodnight, babe.
Bye.
You're supposed to say
Good
goodnight,
night,
babe.
babe.
There we go. Love you guys.
Go. Yeah, well, hey. Well, we're not going to jump. Oh, that's good. That's good. No, they didn't jump. All right, let's see. It's 5:12 here in the PM. Here in the Pacific. PM here in the Pacific. That's Pacific Daylight Time. PDT. There's been some confusion. Daylight Time, I believe, was started by Ben Franklin. In all seriousness, though, I do have more East Coast feeds that we could play, but I do feel bad for Michael, mainly because he's sitting in traffic. I don't remember what that's like. When was the last time you had to sit in traffic?
A long time ago.
Gosh.
That was forever ago.
I'm also wondering, we could always do a Playset Pop-In because you're here too. You want to do a Playset Pop-In?
I would.
Let's try that. All right, I'm gonna look at you for a second while I come over here and just see if maybe this will work. Oh, you know what? That would be really funny. Let's just try it. If this works, this will really be something. I don't know. I don't have high hopes, but if it does, it'll be something. I hear somebody squeaking around in their chair over there. Who could that be?
Me, try not to. It's the worst.
All right, well, she didn't pick up. I was calling Brooke Kaz there because I thought that would be its own funniness of, we're watching you on television. Now we call you on the telephone. All right, let's see. Oh, and by the way, if you didn't know, this segment is entitled Knock Knock, It's a Playset Pop-In. I completely forgot to tell you exactly what that was called. Let us see once again here. I don't know if this will work, but I'm going to give it a shot. I have a feeling this one may work, but if it doesn't, I don't want him to be upset. If this person finds out that they missed a call. Ah! I had a feeling. I'll see if we can hear you. All right, let me turn this around. Let me see. I don't know how to. Oh, shoot. I'm just on my phone. No, of course you are. You're so great. I'm trying to get it here. That's Tory Alonzo, everybody. Tuesdays with Tory, Wednesday edition.
Am I the first one to actually answer on our pop-in playset?
You are. I just tried Brooke Kaz a second ago before because we were doing a bunch of East Coast feeds because our guest is stuck in traffic, yet we're here live. And
no way.
Of course, yeah. I mean, you know how it goes.
Well, shoot, I can pop on the. I feel bad. I should have sit on the computer.
No, you're great. Let me see if I get enough buttons here to go. I think then I can share your screen as usual and then bring you up here. There we are.
It's nice and dark in my living room. I'm watching Unsolved Mysteries on Netflix. It's really good.
Oh, Mrs. Ryan says it's good too. Mrs. Ryan is in the studio also. Now you can't see her, of course, or can you? Because you're in the. Are you in the app with me now?
I just all I see is you.
Oh, okay. All right. I wasn't sure how this worked.
Yeah, it's really good. How many has she watched?
4.
She says 4.
Woo! Yeah, they're good. They're really good. I'm watching the one right now about the hairdresser lady that goes missing from her hair salon. It's good.
But obviously Robert Stack is dead, right?
Yeah, Robert Stack's not on this one,
There's no
but they
hope.
give him a little like they give him a little nod in the title sequence, which is nice. So.
Mrs. Ryan, I just gave Mrs. Ryan like the no, he can't. Hang on one second, let him talk signal, and her face made me feel very bad. So now I want to say I'm sorry. That was my fault. Do you remember the movie Basketball?
Yeah, of course, with Matt Stone and Trey Parker.
My favorite part, not my favorite part, but one of my favorite jokes in that movie is when they're watching Unsolved Mysteries, and he's like, I don't know where he is. He's probably hanging from his neck in his fucking closet. And they actually have Robert Stack say, theory number 1, he's hanging by his neck in his fucking closet.
That's a really like underrated movie. I think it completely tanked in the theaters, but then it's like a cult classic after the fact.
Oh, that could be.
Yeah, I loved that movie. I had the VHS tape of that. I used to watch that constantly in college.
I don't want to blow anything for our next Tuesdays with Tori, but I do just want to tease it by saying, hey, did you watch anything last night?
Hey, I did. Days of Thunder.
Can't wait to talk to you about it and see what you thought.
We'll talk about it for sure.
Awesome. I love you, buddy. We literally just wanted to check in. I dig that are you behind your studio right now, literally? That's the wall. Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm on my couch. Just here, let me see if I can flip it around and you can see like, boom.
Oh, that's crazy. Oh, you just got fact checked, son.
Yeah, exactly.
That could have been that movie you described last night.
I was gonna say, well, I want everyone to know it's not love. It's not watching porn.
Oh my gosh. Look for tomorrow's cut downs to see what we mean by that. Holy crap.
Oh my gosh. I want to hear your reaction if you see that, by the way. You only have to give yourself like 30 seconds of the first, beginning of that. I want to know the shock that you experience if it's anything like what I went through.
Oh, that is so funny. All right. Well, I guess I have to now. Jeez, it wasn't on my list. It wasn't in the queue.
My apologies. My apologies in advance, but it's rather shocking.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, well, thanks for picking up. And this has been, hang on, where the knock, knock, it's Playset Pop-In. That was our first successful pop-in. That's so awesome. All right, buddy, have a great night.
All right, man.
Talk to you later. Oh, and with that, we have a front door ringing. It's almost like we planned it. Who is this?
Yo.
That sounds like Michael O'Neill. I'm going to buzz him in. There we go. Awesome. So he should be up here in just a couple minutes. Mrs. Ryan, thank you very much. She's going to open the door. This whole thing is amazing. I can't even believe it. It's as if we planned it. Planned the traffic and everything. It really did work out well. We do have one more East Coast feed. We'll just do that while he's coming upstairs in the elevator or whatever, while he's getting through security, getting his badge and everything, of course, to come up to the studio. One more East Coast feed. All right, let's see where they are today. Roll it, Hal.
Mr. and Mrs. Ryan is the East Coast feed coming to you live from Candlewood Lake. Look, here's Brooke and Sarah. There they are, enjoying the better part of Connecticut's Candlewood Lake, the biggest man-made lake on the planet. There's Mark and there's Jody. We're on Jody's boat, having a good time. East Coast feeding it to you live. Right, Sarah? Right? Exactly, because we got Brooke in the water where she doesn't like lakes at all. Because they're dirty. So dirty. Right, babe? Tell Jay and Sarah and Nicole you said hi. Ha ha! You feel the love. Anyway, we love you guys. Have a good time. Look at like jet skiers and life happening in Connecticut. Welcome to, I think it's New Fairfield, Sherman. I'm not sure where we are. Big lake. Google that.
When I was a kid, that we did go out on that lake all the time too. And if we were with any tour guides, you'd always see Robin Leach's house. And be like, that's one of the houses from the lifestyles of the rich and famous. And he was always up there, like having, like in their little lounge chairs. It was like a big long lawn, where they would, I don't know, fucking drink and have cigars and look at all the people. Oh, it was so funny though. Michael, what's up, brother?
Hello.
Michael is in the house. Michael O'Neill. We already talked all about you. You should just come in. Help yourself. Come on in whenever you're ready. I have a water in here for you too.
Yeah, got it.
Oh, that's so funny. Take your time though. There's no rush. I could talk about Robin Leach all day. Is he getting an ice cube?
Yeah.
I wish I had the kitchen cam.
Perfect.
I hope everybody can hear it.
Important part. Okay. I'll explain why in a second. Not because I'm an alcoholic. So let's go on?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Whenever you want, brother. I may as well just introduce, since we're live here. It's coming in right on time at 5:20. Have a seat,
like
brother. Have a seat right over there.
Hello.
Get you set up.
Oh, look, you have mugs already.
I did.
I brought my own mug.
You did.
You know why?
Is it one of yours?
No.
Oh,
But,
here you go.
well, I'll tell you about this. So as you know, hello, Jay. Hi, Nicole. As you know, I nerd out really hard about like podcasting and hosting and things like that. So this is a huge, huge thrill for me. First of all, just to be here. Second of all, I know that as I grew up, everybody that had a mug on Carson or Letterman always had booze in it. So I had to bring a little mug and a little booze because it seemed like the right romantic thing to do.
So you really did? Did you crack a little bit of
Yeah, I put a little, and you're welcome.
that's
I had brought
amazing.
some if you'd like some. It's
We don't
bourbon.
drink it.
I
We
didn't.
don't
I
allow
didn't
it
know.
in our home. No, I'm
Yeah,
just
I was
kidding.
going to say, well, that's a problem. All right,
you
great.
imagine?
Thanks for having me. See you
Is
later.
it Mormon? I can't remember which one it is. No,
Yeah, it's Mormon.
totally.
Anyway, hi.
It's so good to see you.
You as
Thank
well.
for
Thanks
being
for
here.
having me.
This it's you're our first guest since
Post-COVID.
since Paul Provenza is what I was going to say.
Yes.
And while that is true, yeah, the first one since the COVID thing even started.
Yeah.
You're the first one in person.
I was just
so
listening to
thank
that
you.
show on the way up, the Paul Provenza
Oh, really?
one, because he introduced it, which was cool. He did that whole didn't he
Oh,
do like
yeah,
the
well,
whole
yeah,
real
he announced
introduction?
it. Oh, that's
yeah,
funny.
yeah, that was cool.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah,
I don't know where to start with you other than you brought your own mug and you
and
actually
and put booze in it.
and you celebrate the whole thing as well. This is the Letterman stuff.
This is so cool. Can you remind me give me the Twitter version of how you ended up with this?
Oh boy, sure. No, there isn't one. I don't
There's
know.
not a Twitter version?
Can I? Maybe you can help us with that. Maybe there should be one. I
Yeah.
grew up totally obsessed with not even Letterman, but the show and the work, all of this fucking technical.
Yeah,
stuff.
I haven't even really taken it all in yet. I just came in. I'm like sitting, but
Well, it's all miniature, right? I'm assuming. Did you have any idea it would be this small?
I didn't know if I was going to your house or to a separate studio or I had no idea. So you do a really great job. The set is amazing. Excuse me, amazing. I think that it looks great on camera. You've got all this great control over it. It's just so cool. So
Thanks, man. Well,
yeah, I'm excited to be here.
When
That's
I
all.
was a kid watching these shows, what I was kind of always amazed with was it was Dave's little playland. It was like there was Romper Room when I was a little kid, and then I found Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood was that was his own little sort of fantasy land. And then when I was old, there wasn't anything, for a long time. And then when I was a little bit older, it was like, oh, this guy on late at night sort of has that same thing. He's
Yeah,
got this
there's a vibe.
playhouse where he kind of calls the shots.
Yeah.
And anything can happen.
Yeah.
And
you're not high enough, by the way. He was always significantly higher
elevated. Yeah, we don't
than
have
his
That's
guests.
the only thing we don't have actually is his chair. They kept it and it crapped out, and they've replaced it over the years.
Did you see on his last show or one of the last shows where Seinfeld switched with him?
Oh, I think I remember.
And
that,
and
yeah.
so Seinfeld then sat in his chair and he's leaning down on Dave. And he goes, "Yeah, it's a little intimidating, is it? Because he's foot and a half higher."
At least.
Yeah.
I do remember that he sat on the back of the other chair, right? At
Yeah,
one point?
at some point, yeah, he flipped the script, and then they did the running where Dave
my
runs
God,
out
you're
on the
bringing it all
curtain
back.
and then runs back. I saw that not too long ago.
I totally forgot about that. That might have been the same show, probably.
It was, yeah. I watch a ton of old Carson and Letterman on
So
YouTube.
do I. So do I.
Yeah.
And I keep it going from there. I even watch old Merv and old when David Brunner used to have a show.
Oh, that's cool.
Do you go that deep with
No,
stuff?
mostly just Letterman and Carson.
What were we watching lately? Dick Cavett? A lot of old Dick Cavett stuff.
Dick Cavett. Carl Runner has been on some stuff we've watched.
Yeah, Carl Reiner guest hosting stuff as well.
Right.
It's pretty wild.
Who's the good interviewer you think of that era?
Well, I'm going to say Dick Cavett myself, only because of what he was so. He's kind of like. I don't intend to act like Dick Cavett. I think unintentionally I have a sort of a trait where you're just weird enough that it gets something else out of people that maybe they wouldn't normally share with like a straight?
Yeah. I thought that.
Do you know what I mean by that? You laughed. I mean, Dick Cavett was sort of, he was a little odd, and he wasn't afraid with being odd. He was very comfortable with his oddness.
Brings out vulnerability.
Vulnerability. Good point.
Yeah.
That transparency, I think, is what people crave now for content anyway, is they want people to be real humans.
Yeah.
Instead of sort of these weird, just this weird, like
Promoters.
insubstantial things that don't really, that don't have a voice and don't really have a perspective. I think people want. I think maybe it's one of the reasons why Howard Stern, who's the GOAT, he always had a perspective. And when you look back on it, they all the good ones had a perspective and were very much not fence sitters. They were either like you either like us or you don't.
They have a position.
Yeah. And I was really lucky. A couple years ago, I've had breakfast with Larry King and Cal Fussman twice.
I was going to say Larry King, but he was a little bit older, next generation.
I got to have breakfast with him at a bagel place in Beverly Hills twice. And the second time, it was me and Cal Fussman from Esquire and just an amazing storyteller, Larry, and a couple other people that were like, they were talking about, I forget which Hollywood starlet they were talking about, but they were talking about it because that guy dated her and this guy was her manager. And these guys were just like the Hollywood guys, in the 60s, 70s, 80s. And he had so much respect for Oprah. Larry did. By the way, Larry's done, I think he said 46,000 interviews. Wow. FYI, for your 10,000 hours, just in case. Yeah. He had 3 that day. He was 90 or whatever he is. He had 3 that day.
He has that schedule.
Yeah, he's crushing it. But he said the amazing thing about Oprah, and they had so much respect for her that she'd be on her show and she'd be digging in with this guest. It would be like really deep and intimate and some tragic story, and it's quiet, pin drop quiet. Then they'd have to break for commercial, and it would be chaos for 3 minutes. And then she would have to bring that energy exactly back where it was. And he said, that's her genius. She was so good at bringing that whole audience and the crew and the guest right back to that intimate moment. I thought I never even thought of that.
No.
But holy, that's some
you just opened my eyes
Stradivarius type.
I mean, to take
Savanti.
a deep breath to calm myself down is sometimes a big task. To calm a room of 300 down is like, what?
and go back to the same energy where you were. It's almost like when a stand-up, have you watched Talking Funny 1,000 times like I have on HBO?
No, but only because I don't know about it yet. It sounds
Talking Funny is Jerry Seinfeld, Ricky Gervais, Louis C.K., and Chris Rock talking about the art of comedy for an hour.
I'm sorry. I think I did. It's from maybe
it's on YouTube.
5 or 6 years
it's
ago.
on YouTube.
Yes.
I've probably watched it 50 times because as a presenter, every time you watch it, you learn something else about presenting. But they talked about staying in the bit, staying in the energy of the bit. So you say something and there's an applause break or the crowd does a thing. Instead of talking over it or shifting or pivoting, you stay right there in that energy and then you continue on. And that was a real lesson to me. That was a real lesson to let, in fact, Ann Enstead, who you also interviewed, well, I loved that show. We talked about being able to stay silent, to let a moment happen when you're interviewing someone. And you let them say something and you just hang out and let it simmer a little bit. And amazing things happen when you let people simmer like that. It's cool.
When you have someone, sometimes my own excitement gets me. And it turns into the Chris Farley show. Do you remember that one time when yeah,
totally.
That was awesome.
Yeah,
totally.
That was awesome. Remember the time when you
that
did
happens
the album
too,
yeah.
And it's like I know I should be taking a breath and just waiting. I know I should be letting them talk, but sometimes I'm tripping over my own self. And then when I watch it back, all I think of is I just hate myself. And then
Right.
sometimes other people will tell me back, like, that was my favorite part of that episode because it showed how uncomfortable you are with yourself.
Wow.
You know what I mean? With me in my own skin.
But there is a thing. Have you had Magnus on this show?
Yeah, a couple times.
So
a few times.
Magnus is amazing, but he's also like you gotta rein him in sometimes because he just tells stories for a long time, and sometimes I was just like I wanted to be like, all right, and so you have to jump in because if you don't jump in, 7 minutes has gone by. You know what I mean?
I do. Do you think some of that comes down to experience? I think the first time he was here, he was far more experienced at this than me, and I think if anything, he maybe
Sure.
sort
He
of
took the reins
lead. Yeah,
a little bit?
I think so.
Yeah.
Because the second time, I felt like he was prepared to do the same thing, and then he was maybe even pleasantly surprised into a conversation.
I think that
which to me is a compliment.
I think that when you play the tennis game and you're able to banter back and forth a little bit in that way, that when those kinds of people that have been interviewed 1,000 times come on and they say, "Oh, wait a second, this dude has chops. I don't need to do all the heavy lifting here because they've already done the thing and they've plugged the thing and
then
they've done
get comfortable.
and they
Take
get
my shoes
comfortable.
off.
That's
relax
right.
a little bit.
Yeah. I often start interviews with what I call non-sequiturs. So I based on some research, I'll ask them something that they've probably never been asked before because it gets them and something that they're really into. So it might be about a sports team or about a trip they took, about their kid's softball game or the fact that they do a Yoda impression, whatever it is.
Sure.
And something they've like never been asked before. And to them, they go, "Oh, that's interesting. This isn't something I've been asked before." Then they get to tell a story. They go, "Okay, that's what this is. This opens the door for
Interesting.
for I don't have to just apply my narrative to this show. I don't have to ram my book through, this podcast."
Well, it shows your preparation, I guess, too. Do you are you a big one for preparation for the person who's sitting in the chair? I mean, it seems like a stupid question, but I'm asking for a reason.
I don't think that there's a bigger ace in the hole than having some preparation.
Sure.
The reason why Howard's so good is because he has 50 pages that Baba Booey has prepared on that guest, and he can. And Dave had the blue cards, so I think that
There was so much that went through that before it ever got to these cards, much like that Baba Booey.
Right.
Oh my God.
Well, but when you can do that, it's the difference between saying, blah, blah, blah is our guest. Hey, why don't you fill in the blanks or tell the rest of the story about blank? And what was it like to be on campus in 1972 when this protest was happening?
So you actually get them to.
There's like a real question instead of being like, I don't know anything about you, So that's usually the key. And to answer your question, depends on the guest.
Oh.
So if I'll always do some research and I always have some stuff in front of me. But if it's like an A-lister, then I'll be much more prepared.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Do you ever get into an interview that you want to not know as much about because you want to maybe get your take live? It sounds like wing it's the wrong word, but for whatever reason, I've
happens
had
all the
people
time.
where I specifically don't give me
No,
that,
I don't want to talk.
don't
I don't want
give
to
me
talk to you right now.
Yeah. And
happens all the time.
Don't give me that material because I want to.
I want the spontaneous question part of this. Happens all the time, especially with friends or if someone I don't know and like I met Scott Page, who's the sax player for Pink Floyd, and I knew that we were sitting at dinner, and I knew that I was going to interview him. And so as soon as we made that, like, hey, can I interview you? I intentionally stopped digging into his whole thing because I wanted. And by the way, it was,
later.
To me, maybe the best show I've ever done.
Really?
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
We had the bass player, I think, for Roger Waters here. It's kind of similar.
I mean, but to get to
Shout
that
out to
level
Gus.
of, like, because this guy not only was in Pink Floyd, but founded Toto, founded Supertramp.
Yeah.
Like, it was a huge,
Three of my favorite bands right there.
Yeah. And it's funny because I'll tell you a really quick story, even though it's not car related. I'm sorry, but we'll get back to it in a second. He canceled. We made this plan to do this show via Zoom. And he canceled. He goes, I'm sorry, I can't do it. I've got to go meet with Akon about blah, blah, blah. He's like hip hop mogul guy. And I go, okay. He goes, but tell you what, we're playing a gig in Dana Point. This is when I lived in San Diego. I live in Long Beach now, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah. But he goes, we're playing a gig in Dana Point on Saturday. If you want, come up
Were
early.
you listening to us live?
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
But so he goes, we're playing a gig in Dana Point on Saturday. If you want, come up a little early. We'll grab dinner and we'll do the show. And if you want, you come sit in with the band for a couple tunes. And I was like, yeah, I'll see if I'm available for that. That'd be great. Holy, And so we go
You're
there.
a drummer. It's on
I'm
the
a drummer.
cards.
Yeah,
It's on the cards.
And so we did the show. It was mind-boggling. Mind-boggling.
Where were you in Dana Point? I mean, there's not
Some restaurant. I had my Zoom H6 and 2 SM58s. It's fine.
unbelievable.
Yeah, and I've done a million shows like that with that mic setup. But the stories, they played in front of 700,000 people at one show.
How is that even possible?
In Venice? They were on a barge on the water, and the whole city was there. Isn't that insane?
It's incredible.
And they sold out 6 nights at Wembley at 150,000 people apiece, which was amazing. And I'll tell you this really quick, but one of the most humbling experiences I've ever had was 3 years ago. There's a big conference called Social Media Marketing World.
Okay.
It's a big podcasting, internet marketing kind of deal. I was doing a couple sessions on podcasting, and he said, hey, will you be part of the house band? We're going to play the keynote on and off the stage. I said, yeah, sure. We play together now a bunch of times, probably like 10 or 12 times. And so 4,000 people in the crowd. So we get into, we have a quick rehearsal, and we're doing Moondance.
Oh, beautiful.
Right? We're doing Ain't No Sunshine by Bill Withers, and we're doing Superstition by Stevie Wonder. Right? Great. I've played those songs.
There's, again, 3 of the best. Van Morrison. I mean, you
Great.
just named incredible.
Great.
Yeah.
But I played those songs 47,000 times
Fair.
in dive bars around
Sure.
the world. Anyway, so we do our quick little rehearsal. Fine. Okay. So I go do my little podcast thing. I come back, and now the lights are on, and now there's 4,000 people, and now it's a whole thing, right? And so we do our tunes. We bang through them. And for Superstition, now not a lot of people knew that I played drums sort of in my podcasting world, but it was like a major, it's mostly what I am as a drummer.
Really?
Yeah. And so when they
makes a
saw
lot
that,
of sense
all these
knowing you.
people were like filming and doing Instagram and all this stuff. So I'm maybe showing off a little bit, if I'm being honest. So we bang through the tunes. We have a 45-minute break until we have to play Mojo Working. I got my mojo working as the outro once the keynote is off, right?
Solid boom chick.
Yeah, exactly. And so,
I'm a drummer too.
all right, great. That we can talk a lot about. We can nerd out hard about that. So you'll appreciate this. Well, in fact, for Superstition, that is Stevie Wonder played that song originally on drums, and it's don't stop.
Very
4 on the
yep.
floor,
Yep.
straight ahead. Da, 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 ba, da, ba, da. Now, instead of playing straight through like you're supposed to for that, ba, ba, da, ba, da, ba, da, ba, da, I went all Dennis Chambers on it. Ba, ba, da, ba, da, ba, da, ba, da, ba, 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 da, ba, ba, right? I'm all over it. And so, and I, it was fine. But we get off stage, and I go across the hallway, and the keyboard player, old white guy on keys, old black guy on bass, are sitting at a table by themselves. There's a million tables. So I'm like, hey, what's up, dudes? I'm like, hey, we start chatting, and the guy goes, I go, yeah, it was fun, huh? And he goes, yeah. And then the guy, the keyboard guy, gives me the compliment sandwich.
Oh gosh.
And he goes, yeah, I got to tell you, that Superstition felt as good as I felt it in 25 years. I'm
Here
like,
we go.
yeah, thanks.
Here we go.
For the first half. Oh. Okay. I'll just sit down for the next 10 minutes. The dude just dresses me down. We're all part of a band. If everybody plays and does their thing, and then, it was a whole thing. And I'm agreeing with him because I knew I'd overplayed, right? But so I don't know these guys. I'm assuming that they are also speakers at the event, which is what the band was sort of assembled from,
Sure.
right? And we're all wearing our little name tags. So somewhere in my phone, I'll show you, I jotted their names down in my phone as we're chatting. And so then during the next, we have 10 minutes, we go out to the wings and we're waiting. I just decided to fire their names in my phone, and both their Wikipedias came up. And I was like, normal people don't have Wikipedias, though.
Though.
So it turns out I was playing Ain't No Sunshine by Bill Withers with Jeff Paris, Bill Withers keyboard player.
Sweet.
And Superstition with Reggie McBride, Stevie Wonder's bass player.
Sweet.
It's not sweet. I would have played different, dude.
No.
I would have played
No.
different. You
This
talk
is
about
the
humbling.
story.
That is
This is the
humbling.
story you needed and deserved.
Guitar guy was from Steve Miller Band. And this is where I go, oh, I forgot that Scott was the guy that put this band together. And of course, he just called his buds that are all famous music guys.
I'm sure if you or I put together a pickup band, it
would
would
have
be
been-
some players too.
Well, but nevertheless, I would have played studio mode instead of show-off guy mode.
I see your
And I
point.
might have gotten a couple of gigs out of the deal. That's all I'm saying.
Oh,
You
I
never
see the
know
point. Your
who
pipeline.
you're.
I see.
And I blew it. So that was me blowing it.
Oh, I don't know.
Too
I think
ego-y.
that's Such a. I think that story's told upside
It was
down.
cool.
I still think that story's told upside down. That is
it
such
was
a
ego-y.
good story.
Anyway, enough about me. Let's talk about you.
We did have I have a similar story though, where it was something. A friend of mine used to own a bar in Santa Monica that's still there, but lots of famous bands come through there, even though it's a tiny little dive bar. And we were having a conversation once about something Bill Withers came up, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I played on that." It was James Gadsden.
Right.
James Gadsden.
It's crazy.
pretty funny.
It's one of the things I don't. I'm new to this area. Like I moved here March 9th, just in time to never leave my house.
Dear Lord.
So I don't know anybody in Long Beach. I don't know any restaurants. I don't know anything. I've literally been in my house, but I've met a couple of people, here and there, and it's crazy when they just start telling these stories. They're like, "Oh yeah, we were on the set of whatever Godfather and blah blah." I was like, "What? What are you
Yeah.
talking about?" And then here I am at this cool late night place.
Okay.
Which is
Well,
awesome.
I think that's a wonderful segue to it. Since you had just moved and didn't have any friends or anything to do, and you had to stay in your house, you decided to convert the garage into. I mean, it was already a garage, but you converted it into a garage / studio / man cave / game room. I mean, it's everything. What is the deal? What's the plan? Is it all going on the channel? Can we talk about your YouTube channel?
Please, yeah.
The Rennch channel is what I'm talking about specifically. That's what I follow.
Yeah.
And
It's why I moved. That garage is why I moved from San Diego specifically.
oh, let's hear it.
It's why so I was speaking at an event in Texas, and I mentioned from stage for some reason that I was being drawn to LA. I love stand-up. I love music. I love Porsche stuff. And there's way more of all of that stuff up here than there is in San Diego.
Right.
And this woman stopped me during a break, and she said, well, I live in Long Beach. I live in a really cool neighborhood called California Heights. And if you want, I'll text you a couple of cool neighborhoods in Long Beach. I'm like, yeah, sounds good. Whatever. 3 days later, she sends me a couple of pictures right from her neighborhood. And the third picture is these two double garage doors. And I was like, what is that? And so I called the landlord right away. And I said, what's the story? And she's like, yeah, it has a 4-car garage. I was like, I will see you in an hour and a half. And she said, well, I can't meet you now, but I can meet you tomorrow. Great. I pull in, and she actually had just gotten there, and she'd walked into the garage. And I got out of my car, and I walked in. I said, cool, I'll take it. And she goes, do you want to see the inside of the house? And I was like, kind of inconsequential, really.
This is what I
Does
need.
it have a bed, or does it have a bedroom? And so I bought this, I rented this house with a 4-car, 650 square foot, 4-car garage. But it's also 3-bedroom, and it's got a great little spot for a podcast studio. And so now I have a dedicated podcast studio, my little home theater set up in the living room, a full soundproofed drum room, a 2-channel listening room, my bedroom, and now this ridiculous garage where I've done epoxy floors and built a bar, and I have a robot bartender and put a
LED
5.1
lighting.
surround system in it and put LED lighting, and one of the walls is a movie screen, and it's awesome. It's really awesome. So
Is it the garage isn't soundproof like the drum room?
No.
or the sit
No,
listen
no.
room, but you're not. I guess you're not watching movies.
no, I'm
with
grinding
30 people
crap in there the
yeah.
whole time. So
Wow.
no, but it's great when I'm allowed to do that again, and I can actually have a housewarming party.
Oh right.
Yeah. I will. I have a projector that projects onto the wall, and then the thing is, I'm trying to build this channel, which is Rennch, Rennch. Rennch.
There we go.
Rennch. And I knew that to do that, I needed a long-term project. It's the only way you can really kind of muscle through on YouTube as a car person is to have a long project. So I found this car on Craigslist.
Did everybody know this? Did everyone know this ahead of time? I hid the part that we're apparently supposed to, like, building it all. I was like, oh, we'll let them see it when it's done. I hid all that.
Yeah.
I mean, we have tons of video and stuff because I did capture it all.
People want to watch you mow your lawn on YouTube right now.
Amazing.
Yeah.
All right, I'm sorry to cut you off, but even the process that you went through kind of blows me away.
So I've done 2 garage build videos. I've done 1 and 2 of like grinding the floor and laying the paint down and taking people on a tour of the stuff. Then I'll have 1 more to do when everything's all done.
Okay.
Anyway, so I found this car, 1969 911S, on Craigslist of all places, and they wanted $10,000 for it. And I was like, no way. And I wrote the guy. And he didn't write me back. I said, all right, well, this, of course, was, whatever. And so for some reason, I logged on Friday, a couple days later, and I emailed him again. And he called me, and he said, yeah, the car's here. I'm like, you've got a Porsche, a 1969 911S, and you want $10,000 for it. It was a race car. This is the rub.
Untitled, maybe.
Same kind of deal. I get in my car. I'm there in an hour, 40 minutes. My buddy's like, it's definitely stolen or a scam or fake. It wasn't any of those things, but what it was a completely gutted and modified race car with a huge wide body GT2 fiberglass kit on it and integrated roll cage and camber adjustments, but it had like 935 rear suspension. Can I talk car stuff? Like,
sure.
Okay, good. 935 rear suspension.
Mrs.
And
Ryan doesn't like it.
Coilovers all over, and camber and caster adjustments, like full race mode. And I thought, what a cool, but no wiring, no engine, no transmission, nothing. It's a gutted car. Weirdly, gauges. The gauges were there, and they're perfect and brand new. I'm going to put them in my other car. But so I literally took a loan out. I was like, if I'm going to do this, I got to commit. I got to go for it. I took a crazy high interest loan out in the guy's parking lot. I had my laptop with me. I tethered to my phone, and I was like, all right, here you go, dude. And I gave him some money, and I bought this car. And I knew that over the long term, it would help build the YouTube channel. Where it gets a little frustrating is I've done now 16 videos on this car build as of today. I've done 3 on the garage, or 2 on the garage, and then a few other miscellaneous. So probably 20, 25 videos. And then you see sometimes these other channels that literally post 1 video and get 500,000 views and 50,000 subscribers. They've had no previous anything, which is really frustrating.
How does it work? Why does that happen?
I don't effing know. And it's very frustrating. I'm in a very frustrated portion of acceptance with that.
So I'm guessing that you're the type of person, because you know what you're doing, you care quite a bit about the numbers. Is that correct?
Yeah, because I'm trying to build this thing.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. I want Rennch to be a brand and a retail store and a Deus Ex Machina.
I'm glad we're all on that same page.
But for Porsche. And the only way I can really justify doing anything like that is to build an audience first, so I can walk in, and if there's going to be an investor or whatever, say, look, I've already got, or even homebrew it, but I've got to get at least 10,000 followers, subs on that. I have 3,400 at the moment. So, and it's been a slog. It's not, it's a couple. But
it makes me feel better that we're not that far lower and not trying. But look at the amount of content.
But you guys have a branding issue.
How long?
Your issue is your brand. That's why you're not growing as quickly as you could.
Oh, you think?
Yeah, because nobody knows that Late Night Playset is a car talk show.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I would name it something, or at least have a tagline that said Late Night Playset. Playset.
The problem
a car. Blah, blah, a car talk show or something like that.
Yeah, and even that, I don't necessarily, even I'm wider than that, because we do have famous comedians in here, I mean, it's every bit of a car talk show as it is, it's not.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it is weird.
It's almost like what I had to do with the Solopreneur Hour is keep backing out until I found something that encapsulated all of it.
You're nailing it.
You know?
Yep.
And that's part of the challenge of creating a podcast or a YouTube channel is that it's typically months of figuring out what the brand is going to be, if it's going to, because otherwise you have to do all the heavy lifting. Whenever you're like, yeah, I have a YouTube channel and here's all the things we talk about.
That's a pain.
Versus like if the brand was nailed, it would do all that for you. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I don't know the answer to this because it's. I mean, it could be cars and comedy.
Oh, I'm not. No,
you know,
it's okay.
But I mean, that could be it could be late at Playset talking cars and comedy. That could
That's
be
what it is now.
As far
Cars
as you
comedy,
need to go.
Life on the Air, something like that, or Cars Comedy, Good Vibes on the Air, something like that.
So, and then, man, that the mistress that is the YouTube algorithm.
That's where I won't play, and that's where that's where we have definitely avoided success in the past.
Made tricks away from success.
Yeah, unintentionally or intentionally, whatever. Just by going, oh, I don't care for that. It is weird in that there is no reward for quality anymore, and that to me is a bizarre bitch to swallow.
That's right. This is a lot of hey guys, and they're on their phones and. It's a
not
thing.
talking about anything.
And not talking about anything. And they're
like
not
you
good
said,
at
mowing their lawn.
Yeah, there's no chops
Man, he
involved.
sweat a lot yesterday, didn't he? He sure did.
Yeah,
oh,
he sure did.
I'm
Yeah,
watch
my
that
blade
again.
broke, but then I used my screwdriver, and you're like, 411,000 views, huh? Okay. That's great. That's great.
All right. Well, we took you off course of you needed this car to build this. So we're trying to build this this YouTube channel around this long-term build, but also your garage. I just watched the paint stripping in the garage of the car.
That was cool.
Yeah, and it's a lot
satisfying.
It is. It's a lot. It's more. Apparently, paint peeling is better than paint drying, substantially.
It's weird, and I haven't looked in a minute.
I got both hands on this.
That video has more momentum than maybe any video that I've published so far.
And it only went up yesterday?
No, it went up 4 hours ago.
I've watched it already?
Yeah.
The one with the she's my cherry pie. Your straight face.
I put it up this morning.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well,
but so check it out. Let's see. Because typically my videos are now, again, they're getting 500, whatever. But it's a couple days by the time they get, let's say, 500 views. This one has 457 views already.
What's the
and
length?
It's been
of
like
your
4
videos?
hours. This one's like 12 minutes.
We did for the first time. People have been telling us to do this for 2 years, and I just did it for the first time like 2 days ago. Cut downs or clips from the show. Like, oh, this 8-minute part of the conversation, this 5-minute part of the conversation. Just did that for the first time, and like tripled or quadrupled the viewership overnight.
Well, that's the good news when you don't have a ton of viewers or listeners yet, is that every little thing you do can double or triple.
Yeah, right.
Like it's a lot.
Yeah.
Like, do you promote all your stuff on, Pelican and Instagram and Facebook and all those things?
No.
Because that's a thing. That's all a thing. Doing that.
You're supposed to do that.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Oh, but people don't want to hear that from me. I guarantee it. I guarantee it.
I think that you're missing the part where you're providing an entertainment value from your guests.
Oh, them. Oh, I see your point, but it's but me talking about it. Like, I love the idea of promotional work, but it shouldn't be from this guy. This guy talks enough. Is my feeling.
I mean, there's not a late night host that doesn't promote her own stuff. Their own stuff. They all do.
How do you mean?
They all do. When you're watching a football game, Jimmy Kimmel comes on and
disagree, sir. I know how everything behind this works. So does she. That's all somebody else. Those are someone else's words. You write the words, I'll say them for you all day long. Or if someone else
they'll jump in with a video and be like, "Hey, I've got Tom Cruise and blah 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 tonight at 11 o'clock," and it'll be Jimmy Kimmel saying it. That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
We've done that. We did a little bit of that. That got annoying pretty quickly for most people.
Maybe you guys hate it, but it is a thing. I wouldn't have known about the Ann Anstead thing if I hadn't. I don't know where I saw it, but I was like, oh.
Well, he helped promote
Sure.
that episode. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the episodes that have gotten traction are the ones where like the people with the followings post or whatever, and then then a 500 views goes to 15,000 or something.
Right.
Like that. And those are great, but again, it's generally because of the ass that was in the seat. It's not because of him and her.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll talk about this offline.
On to you. Did we finish the long-term project and where to go with
No, so here's what I'm doing. This one's called the Blasphemy Build. I already have a
This
69.
the same car.
Yeah, I have a 69 911, this gray car that I've already done. It's an RSR. You've seen it.
Gray Ghost.
The Gray Ghost. I've got a 3.6 from a 95 993 in it. It's all dorked up. It's amazing and fun and fast and smells the right way, and it makes all the right sounds.
It's pretty.
And it's pretty. Thank you. This is not that. This build is not going to be that. I got this thing gutted, and I did a little research, and if I were to put, let's see, how do I frame this? We think these cars are a little too precious right now. These 911s and these 912s. When I bought my car, the gray car, it was $5,000. You know, I bought it from a field in Colorado, and it was like, that's what it was supposed to be. It was the equivalent Volkswagen pricing of a car that was like a little bit better. You know?
Yeah.
Some of the same parts, by the way.
I grew up in Connecticut
Yeah.
where 356s and 911s were at the corner for sale for $5 to $10
at the gas
grand at
station.
every single gas station.
Yeah. So I thought, what could I do to really piss off the purists? That was the first thought I had. The second one was, I do all these Targa events. So I do these big 1,500-mile, rallies in Mexico and Targa, California, here. And it's like, these cars aren't the most comfortable thing in the world to rally for 1,500 miles with no air conditioning. And you get those guys like, the engine's the music I listen to. I'm like, really? For 5 days, you're just going to listen to an engine? So I had a couple ideas. I thought, and this has evolved a little bit, but I thought, what if I could take the things that make Porsche, Brembo, big reds, guards red paint, flat six, Porsche motor.
Overbuilt.
Yeah, maybe overbuilt, but I don't mind that so much.
No, me neither.
And sort of change all of those things. So I'm like, all right, it's not going to be red. I might not use Brembo brakes. And I've decided that I'm going with, I wanted a twin turbo Subaru 6-cylinder engine.
Yeah, this is blasphemous. This is not a car podcast.
Here's why it's going to be cool. Because Porsche co-designed this engine with Subaru. This is essentially an SC motor with VTEC.
Wow.
Here's the numbers, and this is why it makes sense. First of all, if you take one apart, there's German part numbers.
So 6-cylinder.
It's
and water jacketed.
This is a Boxer flat six from Subaru that was a lot designed by Porsche.
Okay.
They're pretty secretive about it, but you crack it open, it's all German part numbers. Here's the specs, though. 180 horsepower. This is both 3-liter, so we're taking like an SC motor. 3-liter SC motor. They're 180 horsepower for the Porsche, 240 horsepower for the Subaru. The weight is something like 600 something for the Porsche and 480 something for the Subaru. It's like 70 or 80 pounds lighter.
With all the accessories and accoutrement and
Yeah.
radiator and everything?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Well, radiator's on the other side of the, you move it to the front, right? So it's not all polar moment, but all that rear weight is less.
Yeah.
I
see your point. Your balance changes.
Yeah.
Sure,
Balance
sure,
changes. Here's the kicker. Price-wise, SC motors 12 to 15 grand, a rebuild another 15. Subaru EZ30R, $1,200.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So you break it, it's like a one piston.
Gee whiz.
So for 10 grand ish, I can build a 450 horsepower twin turbo Subaru motor that I can tune with my iPhone. The Porsche equivalent is 70-ish and not tunable with my iPhone. Mm-hmm. Or if you go for the Gunther Works version, it's $250K for that crazy amount of same power. So I'm like, let's give it a go and just see how it.
You can always put something else in.
Can always put something else in. Worst case scenario is I put a 996 motor in when it goes to hell in a handbasket. But for now, I want to see how it goes.
How much will you have to? Do you even know this stuff? How much will you have to change as far as mountings and stuff? Is it the same?
The
as
mountings will move towards the front of the car a little bit. The transmission, which I already have, is a 996 transmission, cable shift, 6-speed,
All
limited
works the
slip.
same?
Yeah, I just plug that in. There's an
shit.
adapter that I can get for this motor that my buddy Matt Monson makes, and
This is crazy.
yeah,
This
it
is
bolts
wild.
right in. So then, Haltech is. I've got really been fortunate. I should plug a little bit. I had a bunch of sponsors that came on because they knew a bit about my history and how I.
Move and shake.
Yeah, I've been promoting stuff for a long time.
You seem like a guy who gets things done. I don't know. That's how I would describe you, just from looking at your bio that you sent, and then just what I've heard
Get her
about you
doner.
through our friends. Yeah, I mean, I met you through Nicholas Hunziker, I think, and
Mm-hmm.
he's kind of the same way. You seem to be one of those people, so I understand why people would get on board.
Well, Restoration Design sent all the panels over, which was super cool. I mean, like I had to put new quarter panels on and new front fenders and a whole rear of the car, so that was really cool of them. And then Haltech is doing the ECU. I don't know if you guys know Haltech; they're from Australia. Eastwood, I think. I'm talking Lincoln Electric. I'm talking to Mac Tools. I'm talking like it's a bunch of cool companies that are supporting. And it's a fun. I'll tell you what's really cool about it is that I have literally zero restriction on what I want to do. It's going to be, so what I'm calling it is a techno mod. So my goal is if it can come on a 2021 Mercedes S-Class and somebody from the aftermarket makes it, I want to put it on this car as long as I can continue to make the car stock looking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So like, Andrew from Rassant, right? You've seen that red car with the beautiful digital dashboard that he's got.
Probably.
Well, so he's got this full Motec dash, and it's like 12 inches wide, but then he has all the vintage gauges on it. So it looks like it's vintage gauges, but it's all fully digital and cool.
Sure.
So that's definitely happening.
Oh. Wow.
Rearview mirrors will be, rearview mirrors will look like mirrors, but I'm going to hollow them out and put cameras behind the glass.
You're doing the whole thing.
And then have mirrored window tint, so it'll just look like a mirror. But the goal is, in the screen in front of me, I can just flip a switch and I have full like rear camera, 2 cameras, and I have the whole spectrum behind me,
Right.
which would be super cool.
I'm surprised you're not doing a paddle shift and everything else.
Well, what's funny about that is Busy from Busy-Moto had a 996 twin turbo with a sequential gearbox.
Yeah.
That he was like, he had the full powertrain, and he goes, well, you should put that in there. I thought that would also be blasphemous if I had like a prototypo, but with like full paddle shifts.
That's what I'm
that
saying.
would be super cool. Mm-hmm. I don't know. We'll see.
Who knows?
Well, yeah, we'll see how
Maybe
it evolves. I'm going to have
Season 2.
power, not only regular power windows, but power quarter windows, which people have done in Volkswagens, but not in Porsches.
That's wild.
And my goal, I don't know how I'm going to make this happen yet, is I want to be able to go to like the Malibu Cars and Coffee or, one of those events and just be like, hey, Siri, it's hot in here. And my windows go down in the car. I want to have
my
fully
God.
like automated, So I'm trying to kind of just
I
do.
need you, buddy.
That's right. I could totally do that with the watch. Maybe not, it wouldn't drive to me, but you can do like TPS, camber, caster on the fly with these cool aftermarket kits they have, which are like sensors they put inside your tires. So for racing, you can have camber and caster and tire pressure on your phone.
All active.
All active. I'm talking to KW and Bilstein about active suspension, so I can switch into sport mode, and the thing lowers and stiffens, and it gets into comfort mode if you're going from one place to the other. So a lot of stuff like that I think would be super cool that I haven't seen yet on an early car.
And it's not going to drive like an early car.
I don't know,
We don't know, I guess. Yeah, good point.
because if I turn everything off and the shocks are just the shocks, and the springs are just the springs, and the engine's just the engine, it should drive full analog. My goal is to keep it as analog as I can while also putting, modern
that is-
accoutrement.
That is going to be such a mind F.
Yeah.
Having an old feel with a Tesla interior, Not
Well,
that you're anything Tesla-like, but that modern.
Yeah, but But the goal is to have the stuff as hidden as possible. That's the deal.
Oh.
So you won't know it's there. You'll see the digital screen, but otherwise it'll hopefully look like a pretty stock
That's wild.
interior.
Is wild.
Yeah. So we'll see. It'll be fun. I'm excited.
You should be. This is interesting.
Yeah.
This is interesting. There's a lot of stuff to follow.
It's
It also, I mean, I now understand the blasphemy. I really thought it was more on like, oh, just some of the artistic choices and really like, no, it's fundamental choices.
Yeah. I'm going to really irritate a lot of people with this one.
Yeah, I was going to say you're a disruptor. That seems to be. I get it.
Part of it, though, is I want the 12-year-old kid or the 14-year-old kid who they've always wanted a Porsche, or they're just getting that. He's just getting their talons. Porsche's just getting its hooks. And they find some 912 for $6,500 that's a massive rust bucket project. And they're not intimidated by, all right, well, I'm going to get some panels, I'm going to fix the thing up, and then I can put this other motor in and have a car that I can enjoy.
Yeah.
Instead of having to spend, $30,000 minimum on a Porsche engine. So we'll see.
We may be starting a new category.
Well,
What did you call it? It wasn't resto mod. It was
Techno mod.
Techno mod.
Yeah,
Techno mod. This may be a new category.
And it's a thing that when I went to SEMA last year, and I walked around SEMA specifically with that in mind. I'm like, what are some of the cool? By the way, they've been doing this with hot rods and 914s for a million, and Volkswagens for a million years.
Okay.
They have all kinds of cool techie stuff. They're doing body swaps with hot rods with Mustangs and Camaros and Chevelles, and like they've got all modern stuff underneath these old bodies. And so I don't feel too guilty about it. This car was going to never be a stock 911S. By the way, number 22, the serial number is 00022 off the line of the 911S.
Are you
which is pretty
taking
crazy.
bids on this particular car?
You know what?
Before it gets cut into?
Someone has already posted like, well, you should just bring it back to stock. I said, literally, it would literally cost $200,000 to do that.
Yeah.
I have nothing.
Right.
I don't have an interior. I have nothing.
I
to
have
the thing.
the car. That's
I have
it.
a shell of a car, and it's been hacked into like you wouldn't believe, right through. It's
for the race car.
Yeah, everything's been cut out, and
Is there any interesting racing history with it? Was it ever raced?
it never left the building.
Oh, bummer.
So
Built, cut up, and never even run.
cut up in 1994. This is part of the cool story of it, though. Cut up in 1994 by a father and son team. Then they had a falling out, and the car sat in their storage in their showroom for 25 years until I bought it.
Common tale.
But brand new. That's what's cool about it.
You're
It's got a
saving it.
brand new fuel cell, and brand new 25 years ago.
New old stock.
New old stock. The whole thing has never been touched. So the seats, I had these Cobra seats in it, and they were the foam has completely disintegrated. So it's just metal bars and fabric because it's been 25 years.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it must be a neat time capsule, though.
It's cool.
I picture, Back to the Future when they.
The guy did amazing engineering. Amazing race engineering. You guys, if you're a car person, go back and look at the first couple of episodes of this where I go through all the rad engineering this guy did. It's incredible. So it was half of the list that I was going to do to this car anyway had been done. It's the perfect car for this.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, who knew?
All right, so the YouTube channel, obviously Rennch with two N's.
Yeah, Rennch.
What about
Maybe my favorite brand I've ever done.
Is it?
Yeah.
And you're just starting. I mean, it's just growing.
No, I was a branding guy for 15 years. That's like my career.
Well, no, I saw that, but I mean, this is your.
Oh yeah, but
favorite brand, and
Rennch
Rennch is just
as
starting.
a brand, like as a brand name and logo and identity is I think my favorite one I've ever done. Because it's
awesome.
really, when you know about the word Ren in the Porsche world and how ubiquitous it is. I remember right where I was in this bar called the Rabbit Hole in San Diego, and I was thinking I wanted to do an app, and the app was going to be if you want to do an oil change or adjust your valves or something on a vintage Porsche, you'd be able to fire up the app, and I was going to run it kind of like iTunes, where we'd do a bunch of videos, you'd pay 99 cents, and you'd have this full DIY tutorial. And so I partnered with a guy there, a guy who owns a really prominent, famous shop in San Diego. And I couldn't get him. He'd been doing it for too long. And I couldn't get him to be like, I'd be like, hey, do you have an oil change coming up or a brake job or whatever? I'll come in and shoot it. And I just could never get him on board I'm like, you don't have to do anything. I'm going to film it. I'm going to host it. I'm going to edit it. I'm going to publish it. I just need the shop and the regular experience to do it. And we couldn't sync. And so at some point I saw the writing on the wall and that YouTube was really the place for this, and said, you know what, I'm just going to start putting all this stuff on YouTube. And so that's what I did.
Gosh.
Yeah, that's how it started. But it was going to be like a mechanic in your pocket. That was the original idea.
And then you see it going to be as like a, you said a Porsche related brand, companion brand, maybe, would you say?
Yeah, I got a couple
see it
products that I'm working on. One is called Jack in the Bag. So it's this really cool. Well, you know, like when you go to an autocross or a track day, everybody has the blue Harbor Freight aluminum
a Jack in a bag. Ha, I get
right?
it.
Yeah. So I made this rad. Bag to store all of your jack, like at the track or whatever. Here, I'll show you. Here it is right here, in concept and in practice. So that's it in practice. I don't know if there's a camera you can show it to.
It's amazing.
But if you flip one more picture, you'll see what it looks like when it's closed. And it
that is very
goes into your
cool.
trunk, and it's very cool. It's a cool. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, be careful swiping.
Right. We'll just leave it right there then.
Yeah, there's that.
Let me do this one. And
Yeah, that was actually at. That's the Gray Ghost. That was at. That's me next to multiple millions of dollars of cars at Rennsport Reunion. So that's a roof, whatever it was, CTR. Then the Singer, the 4.0 Singer was right next to me there.
Oh, really?
And that was cool. And then, so the goal is that this thing looks like looks like Porsche did it, and it fits right into your trunk, and it's got little hooks that hook onto your strut tower brace, and I've got it's leather and houndstooth, and it looks like it's supposed to be there. So it's a place where when you go on, either a long rally or you're at an autocross or track day, that you can put your cool jack and all of the, all the jack stuff you need.
That's really
the
cool.
goal.
I love it. A jack
Thanks.
in a bag.
Jack in a bag.
For some reason, I went to the when you're a kid.
Well, that's okay.
the little box.
That's part of it. And then a set of coveralls that are
You're
sort
a
of
friend.
that are new and because I celebrate the guy, the DIY shade tree mechanic guy, and I want to be able to give tools and accessories for that person. So when you're on some date with your hot chick and you get a flat, you can just zip these coveralls on and go and change it and not mess up your fancy clothes and put them back in your bag and roll. And it's just part of the lifestyle.
What you said made perfect sense, but you said it a little bit like John Lovitz, so that's where I went. It's like, hey, you just put it in, you just rub it in.
Hey,
Hey!
I got to ask a question on David Spade's show.
Lights Out.
Last
you go to a
year. Yeah, I went to a taping, and then they took. It was the first time they'd ever taken questions from the audience.
They say that every night.
Yeah, and I said, I asked what the best piece of comedy advice they'd ever received. It was Martin Short, David Spade, John Lovitz, and I forget who else. And
This is the panel.
It
Wow.
was great.
That's a great show.
And so Martin Short answered. It was really cool. And then weirdly, they did the show itself, cut up just my question, and it was Martin Short and John Lovitz answering that question on like a bench. The next day or 2 days later, they made it into a little bit for YouTube,
funny.
which was so cool. And then my friend Allison, who I went with, got, how you can like pay, I don't know what it's called, but you can like pay a celebrity to wish you a happy birthday or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever that is.
Yeah,
Cameo.
Yeah.
So John Lovitz wished me a happy birthday after that. Look at that, John Lovitz.
Oh,
It was
that's
really cool.
amazing.
Yeah, it was cool.
Macaroni and cheese. You gotta make this.
It was so cool.
Grab hold of a sugar-o.
I nerd out about a lot of this stuff because this is,
Are you a nerd though? I mean, we are well over on time, but are you a nerd in,
there's
in
a time?
general? Well, I mean, whatever. We can be.
Oh.
Why? You don't want it to be? Oh, no?
No.
Oh.
I don't have
Okay.
to go. Like,
Well, you're the king of podcasting.
my show's an hour. Like, I don't know, how long has this been? It feels like 10 minutes.
No, you've been out here an hour.
Have I?
Mm-hmm.
No.
It's 6:15.
Oh.
It's fine. I don't think anyone's complained yet.
I love the the old romance. The romance of talk shows and the reality of that world.
Kevin
is
Bodman
really cool.
says I'm sorry to cut you off. He was
No, go
hoping
ahead.
we'd talk about Porsches.
We
thought
did,
I
didn't
thought
we?
we did. Yeah.
We can still. There's more. What? So, give me your 3-car Porsche dream garage. No monetary restrictions.
Okay. All right. I've blown this one before. All right. So let me think about that. Can one be our car that we already have? And
Whatever you want.
expand 2 more.
Whatever your dream-
One is our car because of why we have the car.
Which is what? Say it for the people.
A 2005 Carrera S.
So it's a
California.
997.
997.
Yellow.
California. Yellow car.
Lovely.
Speed Gelb yellow. That would be one. I would say the Gary Shandling had a 911. He had a number of
The
911s
turbo?
over the years.
The brown one?
I would take anything. I would take anything from his collection. You know, what
I
mean?
didn't
Just
realize
had
that he had a
closeness to-
whole.
I think he
what
had
a
a 911
Titan.
over the years.
Titan. Gary Shandling.
Oh, you think so too?
Oh.
Me too.
One of my favorite jokes ever, actually, was I don't even remember. I don't remember what scenario was it. I heard it. He's like, I went on a date the other day, and this girl, all she could do was talk about herself. She reached over to grab my hand, and her blouse caught on fire. She was like, "Help me, put me out. I'm on fire." And I was like, "What a great joke! That's a great joke." Anyway,
I loved him in general. And something much older, like a 356 coupe of some variety. I don't know them that well because it's not in my spec right now, but at some point that would definitely be on the list. Something older. But I wouldn't go newer than our 997. That is about as new as I would go.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Why?
The screens in the newer cars don't agree with me, and I don't really have a good relationship with all that technology stuff. I'm not a good enough driver. I think that I'm still an old school butt guy.
Yeah.
Kind of needs to. I can go fast as hell doing that, but I'll never. It's kind of like I'd rather have a stick than the DCT or whatever.
Sim racing has changed my opinion on paddle shifting.
Really?
Yeah.
I can understand that.
Yeah.
I mean, it is faster, right? It's
Just, yeah. It's weird because I'd never done it before, and then I did a lot of sim racing over this quarantine, and then got in my friend's Carrera. I was like, oh, this feels totally comfortable now, which was bonkers. I mean, it really felt like I had done it a million times, and that was interesting to me.
I do agree with that. The new ones are so easy to drive.
Yeah.
I romped on a friend's GT3 touring, I guess, the other day, but whatever, the stick one. It's great in the canyons. Absolutely fantastic. So stinking
So capable.
But we were
Wow.
going so fast
That's the part
that I was like,
that's-
I don't need... I would take the Carrera T any day.
That's right. That's right.
For,
I want
for the type of
bring
driving
the
that I
limit
personally
down
do. Yeah, so that I
to
can
a
push it
manageable, because I have my daily's a Panamera, and it's bored. It's bored
Right.
all the time.
Right. Loafing.
It's just like, dude, when can we go 130 again? You
Yeah.
know? And
Right.
that's, and then it's like,
it's almost sad.
Yeah, a little bit. So same for me. I keep the gray car for sure. That one, yeah, that's
The
got
Grey
too much of a
Ghost.
story. The gray ghost.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I didn't want to...
It's got my parents' ashes mixed into the primer.
I didn't
and-
know if I read the thing you
Oh, yeah.
sent. I didn't know if...
Oh,
You said it's an article
it's very
coming
public.
out.
Yeah, it's very public.
All right, well, that...
People know about that.
For the same reason, then, yeah, we got to
Yeah,
keep
yeah.
our cars. So Grey
For
Ghost is
sure.
in the garage.
And plus, I used a dildo to paint the wheels. I'll tell you that in a second. So Grey Ghost, for sure. 959 because it was the thing that got it started for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The exotic nature of it, or just the fact that it was
that
on the
was the
poster?
car in '88 that was the thing.
Okay.
And then I think, I don't know if it's it might be a 911R, like the new 911R,
It's funny you say that.
or a GT3 RS, because those two cars, and I would have to be torn between them. But one of those two cars, somebody said this is the best driver's car Porsche has ever made, and I thought it'd be kind of cool just to have one ripper when you want to go to an actual track day.
Yeah.
That you have one that I'm worried that a trailing arm's going to fall off the Grey Ghost at 100, and that car at 100, 110, it's like that scene in contact, which is like, okay to go, okay to go, okay to go. That's what it feels like.
Great reference.
It'd be kind of cool to not have to think about that, you know, and just and then the other one just sits and you drive it to the Cars and Coffee.
Right.
You drive the 959 to the Cars and Coffee.
You bring up a lot of good points. Having something new to rip, just something that's that fast to rip.
Maybe a
on
GT3
would be
RS because
fun.
they're so ubiquitous, and if you break it, it's like, oh, who cares?
But
There's
I think,
a million of them.
I think at that point, if I got that car, I'd go against everything I told you earlier and have the paddles.
I would do the whole thing. Yeah, I would do the same.
Yeah.
Same deal. So I'll have to tell a story because it's an open loop. My
I'm
gray
so glad
car
you're doing it. Thank you.
has, I don't know if we're allowed to, well, whatever. It is what it is. My gray car has 9s and 11 by 15-inch wheels, as the RSR is wont to do. That's the nine, and I've got Michelin TB15, 275 in the front, 340 in the rear. Just
Holy
big.
Moses.
Yeah, there's a lot of rubber on that car.
That's more than we're running.
Well, it's
By some margin. That's amazing.
we're probably pretty close in power, aren't we?
I don't know.
300-ish?
350.
Oh yeah, probably a little more. But mine's way lighter.
Yeah.
Mine's 2160. Yours is
Right
what,
around
$3,000?
We're
yeah.
right around three, little
Yeah.
under.
So it needs some rubber. Anyway, so I went with the. I got these wheels from Accumoto. They're 3-piece, but they look like Fuchs wheels. They're very light. They're really race wheels. And I wanted to first. I had them Type 3 anodized, which has this really cool gray. The whole car, if you haven't seen it before, is gray on gray on gray on gray on gray. That's why they call it the Gray Ghost. And I wanted to apply the RSR factory RSR finish, where the inset of the pedals is black, and then the pedals themselves are the gray. But I wanted to do it like the factory did it, and the factory dipped the wheels to get
The line,
they would
right?
do just the right depth, and then they would pull the wheel out.
It's really an amazing
It's super cool.
It's so silly.
But my wheels are 3-piece, which means that I could take the centerpiece, which had been anodized, and I could dip them by themselves. So I got this big tin, and I got literally some black Rust-Oleum paint that I thinned with paint thinner, and I put it into a ketchup, old school ketchup squirt bottle. And I just would raise the paint until it was at the right level. The problem was, and this is where Olympic skiers come in to this story.
I was wondering when they would get here.
When you watch an Olympic ski jumper, when they're doing like double, triple backflips, things like that, when they practice, like if you go to Lake Placid, they go into a swimming pool. So they jump, they have these rollers, they jump down, then they do like 7 backflips and they flip into the swimming pool. Well, to prevent them from smacking the shit out of themselves in the swimming pool, they fire bubbles, they fire air at the surface. It breaks the surface tension. So then when they hit the water, they just sink right down instead of... But the problem I was having with my wheel is that I couldn't get the paint level. Even though the table was level, I had everything perfectly level. The surface tension was keeping the paint from being perfectly level. So I needed to vibrate the paint.
This is amazing. You're like Iron Man.
So what I did is I went to my then girlfriend's bedside table, and I grabbed her little toy, and I put it in a plastic bag, and I duct taped it to the side of the tin.
That's what you meant.
And fired it up, and then it went zzz, and it leveled the paint. So then as I rose it, it was perfectly level. And then I pulled the wheel out and did all 4 of them like that.
Can I give you something that's absolutely not related, but I just want to tell it to you now because I
Please.
think you'll get a kick out of it?
Yeah.
Do you know the movie Jurassic Park? Of course you do, right?
What's this?
At one point, the dinosaur is stepping in it, and you see the ripples in the water. Do you remember that part? In order to get that, it was one of the most difficult special effects of the entire film to get this. And I didn't work on it, but I know somebody who did the effects, and I heard the story. They had to take the dashboard apart for where the thing was, and they were trying to tap it, all these different things. Nothing could get the type of
The right kind of vibration.
What they ended up doing was it was a guitar string. underneath touching the thing, and it was like you had to get just the
You
perfect
need the right
vibration.
vibration.
You couldn't just touch it or tap it like
Right.
that. By the time that happens over there,
Right.
by the time it gets here,
It turns into a sine wave.
It's
Oh,
waves.
that's interesting.
And but the exact same reason you had
Yeah.
to do it's like, oh, you just have to get that stuff just right. The frequency's got to be right.
I could have used a razor, but
No, the story is not nearly
but
as
it's
good.
but I got to go to Jay
Then I
Leno's
went
garage.
to get my Norelco.
I got to go to Jay Leno's garage last year, and we talked a little bit about it. And so I told him, and I said, I can't remember how he responded. I said, well, I used a dildo to paint my wheels. And he goes, oh, really? All right, well, I got to go. Or something. It was very funny.
Yeah.
By the way, have you guys ever talked about Jay Leno's garage on this show?
Sure, right up the street there.
It's ridiculous. You've been.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Someone said...
We can't do the collection. I mean, well, she can't even walk anymore. But I mean, the collection is just overwhelming to me. I don't have the bandwidth for it
That's
anymore.
the thing. Someone said, was it cool? I go, no, cool happens 6 inches over the threshold.
Cool happens when you get the call that you're allowed to come the next day.
Right.
It's like, oh, that's
Right.
amazing.
Oh, yeah,
then
cool.
you get there and you see the sign
It's
and they move the gate.
baffling. It is
too
really
much.
bonkers,
Too much.
especially the Bugatti area, because
I don't even know what room that is.
it's
Is
like
that-
it's where he
you know what
films the show.
Okay,
it's
that
that second
the YouTube room.
warehouse, and this is how I describe it to people. I was like, well, have you ever been to like Target or Marshalls and you see those 1929 24 hours of Dumont, posters with the silhouette, the long cigarette, and you've got some little shooting old Bugatti, 1929 Bugatti shooting off into the distance. I was like, he has that, but it's the original one,
real one.
and it's like 14 feet wide. And then he has the Bugatti under it.
Yeah, the
he's got
actual
that
car.
actual car, and it's $46 million, and he's got 9 of them. That's when you start going, what in the actual app? Like, it's crazy.
And then you go, he owns the building. He owns the whole block.
It's crazy. He was there when we got to go. He was there, so we got to hang with him for like 15 minutes.
I
and
think he's always
It was
there.
a thrill. Well,
he's
he was
there
just
every
he was
day.
there for 10 minutes and in and out. He was going to stand-up gig in
Oh, I see.
in Detroit. So it was really cool that he happened to be there. It was cool. I don't know. Again, for the same reason why this is a thrill to me, it was cool to meet Jay Leno.
We never got to it, but the short answer is I was a lifelong fan, and it went to the right person.
Yeah, the universe.
Yeah.
Provided.
You ever see The Dark Crystal? The movie as a kid.
Yeah, but I don't remember it.
The premise of it essentially is there was a shard stolen from this big, powerful crystal of the whole kingdom. Shard stolen years and years ago, and of course, the kingdom when they decide to give the shard back is when the whole light comes back. I stole this microphone off of David Letterman's desk when I was a kid. It's a true story. There's a whole big story behind it. I got let into the theater overnight. Doesn't matter. But a couple years, and I literally...
No.
This is all true.
That was the seed.
This
The
is true.
energy drew
Yeah.
to the microphone.
I don't want to spend too much
It
time
needed
on
the desk.
But that was the truth. We decided to give it back and do this whole. We were going to make a documentary, the whole story about it, and then we got a call to, oh well, do you still want the Letterman merchant?
No.
Assets. Crazy. So yeah, it all sort of.
That's so bonkers.
Yeah.
It was like Wonder Twin powers activate.
I was
It
telling.
needed the desk to go with the microphone.
Exactly. Spike. Exactly. You put it in and the
Yeah.
whole thing happens. Spike Ferriston came up to Breakfast Club the other day, and I told him the story for the first time. He never heard it. I mean, he knows us and he knows about the set and everything.
Yeah.
He never knew.
Has he been on the
microphone.
show?
No, but I hope to have him.
Yeah. I had a similar, I guess we'll go at some point, but I had a similar experience. I'm a huge Pittsburgh Steelers fan. I've been a Steelers fan my
kidding.
whole life. No. And
Not knocking it. I just didn't know sports.
my favorite player is Hines Ward. And so much so that all my race numbers, because I was an autocross racer, were number 86, named after. He was a gritty underdog kind of guy, and really, like, he was the guy that even on other teams, you'd hate him, but then you also wanted him to play.
There's a
for
respect.
you. You're like, oh, I wish he was on our team. Anyway. So huge. So my podcast studio is called Studio 86. And one of my listeners made me this killer sign that said Studio 86, home with Solopreneur Hour. And all my race numbers, even the Gray Ghost, wore 86 for a long time. So it was a big thing
I
for me.
remember the ghost of it. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. And so, I don't know, 2016, I get and again, since I was 5, and nobody a Steelers fan in my family, it didn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
But I've gone to a game every year. So I get a phone call from a buddy of mine. He goes, hey, have you ever heard of Shaquille O'Neal's podcast? I go, yeah. I've heard of it. I've not heard it. He goes, well, it's like current events meets, basketball, meets sports, whatever. He goes, I've been approached by another celebrity to do a show. I don't have the bandwidth for it. Would you be interested in checking? I'm like, yeah, all right. Yeah, who is it? And he goes, well, I think he might need a co-host for the show as well. And I was like, fine, who is it? And he's like, and, there's probably some kind of cool ad revenue split. I'm like, dude, fine. Who is it? What's the deal, And he goes, it is none other than number 86 himself, Hines Ward. I said, you've got to be shitting me. And so fast forward a couple months, I'm in Atlanta sitting across from Hines Ward and his agent and his manager. And then we start the Hines Ward show. I'm co-hosting for a year the Hines Ward show, where I literally live this, I'll show you this pictures I have on my phone are so ridiculous of selfies with Coach Tomlin and James Harrison and Jerome Bettis and all these legends. And I said, I literally live the Steelers fan dream. And someone's like, oh, it's totally the universe. You manifested that. I'm like, I never aspired to hosting a show with the guy, but how cool was it that I got to do it for a year? But it sounds like a very similar situation.
We're trying to get Dave here. We'll see what happens.
Oh,
yeah.
Wouldn't that be
amazing.
something?
Yeah. It's a bookend that needs to happen. You don't know the rest of the story, but
we'll have to do it over not drinks someday.
There you, there you go.
What did someone say? Do we have questions or something?
The same guy said a Subi-powered Porsche is fine.
Appreciate you. Thank you very much, Rocco. What was his name? Raul? Rocco?
What do we need to plug of yours that I didn't? Solopreneur Hour.
Yeah, solohour.com, because nobody can spell preneur in America.
That's a shame.
That NEUR thing really
get in there.
Really hurts.
And then obviously Rennch is not a podcast. It's only a YouTube channel.
YouTube channel and an Instagram account.
Okay,
and
they're I think I misled and said it was a podcast channel.
You did.
You are a podcast guy. You've created a number of podcasts.
My regular Solopreneur Hour podcast is I call it the mothership. Okay. That one's 800 something episodes and 10 million downloads and the whole thing. It's like a whole deal. But this is more fun. Talking cars and and being at this table, and it
is crazy. Do you feel anything? I mean, it is wild that it's the actual stuff.
Certainly, when I first sat down, I was like, "Oh, sure, that's so cool." And I'm digging the inset of the microphone is cool, and I haven't really gotten a chance to look at all of it yet, but I will once we hit stop.
All right.
So
then we plugged everything we needed to do. We took care of everything.
I think so.
Do you feel complete with your experience here?
I think so. You guys follow my little blasphemy build on YouTube. It's cool. It's going to be fun. And here's the thing. By the way, no one's ever accused me of brevity.
He's like, when Magnus.
Imagine 10 years ago that we had choices of different Porsche content that we could consume in any number of different places, right? A bunch of YouTube channels, a bunch of
no, don't worry about it. Don't worry.
A bunch of YouTube channels, a bunch of websites, a bunch of blogs, a bunch of it's just so cool that we get to do that, and I'm sure you've enjoyed your fair share of constructive criticism on YouTube comments as well.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
You're
welcome for the free
most
content.
Part, people are really, really friendly, and we don't really have that much interaction online. It's more like, we'll go somewhere, and then 10 people tell you they saw this episode or whatever.
Yeah.
Most people are really, really friendly. It's just, some people.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I used to be the same way before I started doing this. I mean, what do you do but pick it apart?
I got one video on my solo hour that has over 200,000 views. It's 6 mistakes that'll kill your podcast.
Great. Should have watched it first.
And the problem is that I use a Zoom H6 as a recorder, and it's super sensitive. It's got these tiny little gain knobs, and if you move them an eighth of an inch, it blasts. And so I did that accidentally. Because I was on video, I didn't even listen to it.
Yeah.
And so my audio is just clipping throughout the whole thing, but I just banged it through. And then when I got into post, I was like,
is what it is.
I said, you know what? Nobody will care.
Well, it's either that or not put it out, right?
And meanwhile, 900 comments of people caring later. I'm like, can you just get to the content part that I gave really good advice during this? Can you not complain about the part where it's like, the audio's not perfect? And man, I'm like, A, it's not a podcast. because I talk about podcasting. B, I like it's a YouTube video. It's not a podcast. They shouldn't be intertwined.
I find that more than anything else, so far, the person who took it the most seriously was me. And when I stopped doing that, the whole thing got a lot more fun.
You're a great host. I can tell that you are a student of the game.
I love the game. It's all I ever knew. I mean, we'll talk off.
You got the right
air,
voice. You got the right whole vibe. You're very Letterman-esque.
Yeah.
Yeah. But in a great way. I mean, somebody needs to.
Believe it or not,
somebody needs to take that mantle, you know?
Believe it or not, I am not trying to be that way at all. Just
it's embedded.
Whatever, yeah. It was.
It's embedded in a number of my friends that are the same generation.
It's good to know.
Yeah.
It's great to get to know you a
Thanks.
little bit better today, brother.
Thanks for having me.
When am I going to see you next?
I'll
PEC
come back tomorrow.
Oh yeah, here, come back anytime.
Sweet. I don't know. I'm around. I don't know. Whenever the next thing is.
And
maybe
then,
Malibu.
And obviously, oh yeah, we'll see.
Maybe Malibu on Sunday.
For sure.
I'll do that.
And then other than that, we'll see you on YouTube.
Did you see that my car got completely shat on?
I wanted to talk about that. I brought it up yesterday. That was a rookie move on your part.
Why?
The egrets. For years we've been watching this. Maybe at least 3 years ago, a convertible, an Auburn Roadster, with like this gorgeous like ostrich looking like interior right underneath it.
I wasn't by a tree though. I was not near a tree.
Do you really want? I'll get graphic. Those things evacuate with such force from the tree that it hits the. It looks like somebody dumping their water out of their third-story window, and it hits the ground and becomes a fountain of.
This was not that. This was a swath that was about 4 feet wide and 10 feet long.
Oh,
this was
like a dive bomb.
This was like a B-1 bomber run.
Oh, I don't know.
And it was like, I couldn't, it was a stripe.
So you weren't overparked under the tree?
No.
Oh, I
wasn't anywhere near
just
it.
assumed because we've seen that 100
I was
times.
not near it. But I got called out on this video, this guy on YouTube. The video has like 600,000 views. It's like, he was making fun of me because it kind of was sprinkling a little. And you see me like wiping my car down.
Oh,
He's like,
this guy's here.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, it wasn't that. I just got completely demolished. So anyway.
You were wiping bird shit off.
I was wiping bird shit off.
Oh, man. All right. Well, see you at Malibu Kitchen then.
It's been a little slice of heaven.
You're amazing. I don't know what's going on. We love everybody. Mrs. Ryan, love you so much. We love you so much, Michael. Thanks for being here. Michael O'Neill, check him out on YouTube. Rennch, 2 N's in that. Love everybody. See ya tomorrow, probably, I think, right? Or out there.